Good morning, invited guests and friends to Jobs Ohio's second quarterly board meeting. Thank you for those who could join us here in person today as well as those who are watching virtually. We are thrilled to be hosting our meeting this morning during the Memorial Tournament at Muirfield Village. As a proud sponsor of one of golf's most popular and enduring tournaments, we take great pride in partnering with the Memorial and honoring and supporting our military forces, veterans, and their families. That's why we're honored to host the military outpost on the 13th Fairway as a small token of our appreciation, where active duty military members, veterans, and their families can stop by, lounge in the outpost, and catch some amazing views of the world's greatest golfers. We have seen continued and notable success in our efforts to empower our military and federal installations, and we will continue to do so through our bases, research facilities, manufacturing, and aerospace capabilities. Thank you again to all that have and continue to serve. While we talk about service, I want to congratulate the JobsOhio team as well as our partner, Team Northeast Ohio, for their work in helping to secure Ford's EV commercial line announcement yesterday morning in Northeast Ohio. Avon Lake's Ford plant will drive future growth not only for the region, but the entire state. In partnership with the DeWine administration, the Department of Development, and local county and city stakeholders, this project is now a reality. Thousands of jobs will support families and businesses, and we will continue to work hard for all parts of Ohio. We know that with all the jobs that Intel and now Ford and other projects like Semcor's $900 million lithium-ion film investment in Sydney, Ohio, in the western part of the state, will once again pose the question of talent. It is indeed a topic we continue to come back to because of the challenge and the opportunity it presents. During JP's President's remarks this morning, he will take a deeper dive into our efforts to help support this critical need that is what will be a deciding factor in the future success of the state's efforts. I have no doubt we will continue to build strong bridges with our state, federal, and local partners to build the capacity to win this challenge. Additionally, we will learn more about our unique and highly successful funding model under the JobsOhio Beverage system, which is the secret ingredient to so much success in Ohio's economic development. We will have a feature on Ohio's proud food and agribusiness sector that will showcase the incredible innovation and history that feeds millions of people around the world. With that, I think we can begin our meeting, and we'll begin approving our minutes from our March meeting. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second to the minutes?
I'll second.
All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Let's move now to the President's report. JP.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, we'll cover 3 videos. As you know, since 2019, responding to the vision of the DeWine Husted administration and with support of this board, JobsOhio greatly expanded its mission and economic development initiatives to capitalize on opportunities to grow Ohio's economy and to help the state emerge as a global leader in the 10 sectors that we support. As we complete the second quarter of 2022, the momentum from last year continues. Last year was a year that JobsOhio and our partners helped to support the creation of more new jobs with more new projects won and more payroll than at any point in the organization's history. Our business is a team sport, and to help convey the nature of our work and its impact, we put together these 3 videos to help describe the important sectors and initiatives. The first will describe the importance and the value of Ohio's agriculture sector. Led by sector team lead Tim Derrickson, JobsOhio works with many partners to ensure that we promote, retain, attract, and grow agriculture jobs and advance the state of the art. We work with the administration, who has placed high priority on this sector, and many, many partners, including the Ohio Farm Bureau, and we're joined today by its leader, Adam Sharp. I would encourage the board to ask questions after each video. The second video will describe our talent and workforce sector, which is led by Christy Klaus. Again, taking the lead from the vision of the DeWine Husted administration to help all Ohioans get the education and training and skills they need for a great job. JobsOhio plays its part. And with the tremendous success in creating jobs over the past several years, talent, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, will be a key to our success. The third video, excuse me, which describes the JobsOhio beverage system. JobsOhio is a unique economic development platform in America because it's private, because we go to market through a series of 6 network partners, because we have a team of economic development professionals that are rooted with private sector experience, and because of our unique funding model, which includes a very successful and unique public-private partnership to support Ohio's Spiritus Liquor Enterprise. Led by JobsOhio's Lorraine Terry, this model has been hailed as a top retail operation in the nation, and it delivers funds to give Ohio an economic competitive advantage in a fierce global competition for capital investment and jobs. But to kick things off, we have added a 4th video to describe yesterday's mega project announcement made by the governor, lieutenant governor, and Ford. This project will create 1,800 new jobs, retain 1,600 jobs, and secure a quality of life for Ohioans in Lorain County and in the Northeast Ohio region, and secure Ohio's place as the industry starts to transition to electrification. Mr. Chairman, I encourage you and the members of the board to ask questions at the conclusion of each of these videos, and our outstanding JobsOhio staff members will be here to support a highly engaged discussion. With that, please roll the Ford video. Thank you.
We're announcing that as part of our plan to drive the future of our industry and to produce a new generation of great Ford products for our customers, we're going to create 6,200 new UAW jobs and invest $3.7 billion in Ford plants across the Midwest. How about that? Here's the best part for Ohio. 1,800 new union jobs right here in this assembly plant.
Our future is that manufacturing is now moving in Ohio forward. This is the future of manufacturing. This is the future of Ford Motor Company. This is the future of our workers. We're poised to make electric batteries. We're poised to make the chips with Intel Company coming in to make the chips that we need. So we're making more things here in the United States.
Special news for Northeast Ohio is that there will be 1,800 new jobs, good, solid paying jobs with health care insurance and the higher quality of life and the job security that comes for working for a great company like Ford.
So this investment by Ford continues the significant economic momentum for Ohio. In fact, in 2021, more businesses created more jobs and more payroll through more successful projects than at any year during JobsOhio's 11-year history.
It's really an investment in the Ohio workers. Specifically, our workforce at Ohio Assembly Plant has been phenomenal. So we're really thrilled to be securing their future here.
Okay, are there any questions, Mr. Chairman, from the board? Yes.
I know this talks about Lorain plant, but there are other plants in Ohio that are going to be benefit from this. It's just not all Northeast Ohio, is that right?
That's right. Ford announced investments in, I believe, 2 other plants of their facilities in Ohio. Mr. Dana Saucier is here, head of our sectors, and he along with Jonathan Bridges, led the negotiation from the JobsOhio side.
Yeah, thank you, JP. That's correct. What's unique about this win is, aside from as the mobility industry transitions to electric fleets, This win is specific to delivery trucks, the Ford Transit van, which you see many of Amazon and other companies that are delivering things on time and quickly. These trucks will be highly desired from that industry. So it represents a significant win in a different part of mobility. And to the question that was raised, yes, it will impact other facilities. This plant was also the existing workforce of 1,660 workers that were already at this plant. It also cements the facility and those United Auto Worker jobs, and then adds another 1,800 to 2,000 as well.
As a native of Lima, Ohio, I understand there's a Ford plant there.
That's right. That's correct. And there'll
Been
be
there
two.
since I've been in Lima.
That's correct. 2 other plants in Ohio will also benefit from the supply chain. And
Dana, didn't they also announce that they're making permanent some of the temporary jobs? A significant number of those temporary jobs were made permanent.
That's correct. And not to leave out, any time a win like this usually leads to construction and new construction projects, new construction workers. That part is not been as prevalent in this announcement, but that's an incredibly important aspect of the project.
And Ford did announce they would be breaking ground this year
That's right.
Super.
on the expansion of that facility.
Yeah.
And they also announced they would be investing, I believe, overall in their entire portfolio, up to $3 billion to create better work environments and enhancing their work environments with an
correct.
employee focus.
Exactly. That's correct. Exciting, very exciting win for the sector.
More exciting.
Yes. Thank you.
Chair,
Go ahead.
specifically, what kind of jobs will the 800 incorporate? I guess I'm always looking at skills and what's needed in those jobs. So specifically, what kind of jobs will they be?
Yeah, excellent question. Very high-tech manufacturing. So manufacturing of today and the future. So
Today?
think there's a lot of robotics, a lot of automation, that very high-tech automation that will be supported. And so, Jerry Sue, it'll be very high-tech, exciting jobs because very high-paying, but doesn't necessarily always require 4-year degrees and beyond. So it will be an opportunity to attract high-tech skills, and we'll be there to help them, develop those out through our learning institutions here statewide.
Well, that's a really good note for the colleges and universities in that area that will have opportunities to educate and train the new workers or
Excellent point.
upskill.
Yeah, and our
Probably
technical
know one
school.
up there that would benefit from.
Right. Upskilling, I think, is tremendously great because we have some people in that area with already really good skills, but to learn the new ones, I think this gives them a great opportunity.
Yeah, blessed with so many technical schools, and it'll be an excellent opportunity for, and that's an important point. When we win a big project like this in a particular part of the state, it really is a statewide opportunity for others that provide higher ed skills to plug into those curriculums and feed highly trained, ready to go workers to fill these jobs. So it's
It's an
exciting.
exciting opportunity.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
Any further questions on the Ford project? Again, congratulations to the DeWine Husted administration, to the JobsOhio team, and our network partners from Team NEO, and of course from the great hardworking workforce from Ford. Our next video is on a very important and productive sector of our economy. Ohio has a diverse economy. We focus on 9 private sectors and 1 public sector, the military and federal sector, Mr. Chairman, that you referenced. We would like to now roll a video describing the value of Ohio's agriculture sector.
Today, when you look at Ohio's vast farmlands, it might seem like nothing's happening, but there's more than meets the eye. Ohio's farming legacy stretches back hundreds of years, with generations of Ohio farmers utilizing this productive land through hard work and innovation. These dedicated farmers put Ohio on the map. By the mid-1800s, Ohio produced more corn than any other state and ranked second in wheat production. Our agriculture output created jobs and generated demand for sound infrastructure, accelerating the development of Ohio's canal, rail, and later, highway systems.
Fifth generation here, farmed with my dad for years and years until he passed away. I farm for, right now, 22 different landlords. Most of them are multi-generational. They're really partners with me, and they're really heavily invested in the quality of their farm ground. We were looking at some older pictures a little bit ago, and you know, seeing pictures of my dad standing in the same spot probably 70 years ago. It's pretty good. I'm very attached to the ground I farm.
As the easternmost farming state, with some of the most mature road and rail infrastructure in the country, we're still a prime player in this important industry.
Ohio agriculture is vast. It's in all 88 counties. It's across our entire state. Ohio agriculture is the state's largest industry. When we look at the food and agriculture, we like to call it the food chain across the state of Ohio. It adds up to over $100 billion of contribution to our state's economy annually.
Today, food and agriculture account for 1.5 million Ohio jobs and generate $124 billion in revenue. Our 80,000 farms average 206 acres in size and total 14.9 million farm acres across the state.
Consumers today want to know, for example, how beef gets from pasture to plate. And so we capitalize on that here in Ohio and have worked together with other ag groups as well as JobsOhio, certainly the state of Ohio through the state budget, in creating funds that help expand our processing and harvesting facilities to do just that for those consumers that want to be able to purchase local, to know the farm that produced the beef that they're feeding their family, just like we feed our family. We really want to focus on accentuating that and making that possible.
Because technology has revolutionized what we do, farming in Ohio looks a lot different than what you might expect. Advancements like autonomous equipment and smart machinery make production safer and more efficient, netting higher yields per acre. Cutting-edge robotics and biometric devices reduce excess feed and result in healthier livestock, making herds more profitable and more sustainable. Climate-smart robotic irrigation systems improve water quality and reduce evaporation. Vertical farming dramatically increases productivity per square foot while conserving space. Next-gen AI optimizes lighting, irrigation, fertilization, and sensors within indoor farms to produce the highest quality flavor, shelf life, and nutrition consistently all year long.
Vertical farming is a way to farm in our cities close to areas of consumption.
Vertical farming is tech-enabled agriculture. It's being able to provide the highest nutrition. You can create the perfect day for a crop with the best flavors and the highest nutrition every time.
And around the state, research and development centers are working to create an even more sustainable food system, focused on feeding a growing population, addressing climate change, and conserving natural resources. In Ohio, we're investing in preserving Ohio farms. We're innovating the industry, we're reshaping the future of food, and we're carrying forward our legacy as an agricultural force.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, do we have any questions? I'd like to invite Tim Derrickson, our sector lead for the agriculture sector. Please come up and.
Good question. Tim, Ohio's a manufacturing state. We're clearly, as this video well showed, Ohio's food and agribusiness is our biggest industry employment-wise. When we see that convergence, I mean, plant-based food kind of comes to mind. Speak to what we're seeing in that sector of these combined sectors.
There's a lot of interest in plant-based foods. Really kind of what's driving that is a desire of healthy choices, healthy options, and I think plant-based foods is seen as a growth area, as options, for companies and ultimately for consumers. In our pipeline, our JobsOhio pipeline for this sector, we always have some plant-based food manufacturers, and there's as many now, I think, as there's ever been. And again, there's kind of two words that are driving this sector. One is healthy, and that's associated with plant-based foods. The other is sustainable, and sustainable practices. And that sustainable term is from not only from food manufacturing, but also on-farm practices. So it's really been a dynamic and changing sector for some time, but it's pretty busy.
Other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Lori.
I was just going to say, you know, I'm impressed with all the technological advances and everything, but I also, when I think about farming in Ohio, I think about family business, and I think about, you know, generations being in the farming business. On Wednesday, I spent the day with an individual that's in the 5th generation of their farming business in Ohio, and so I just, you know, you can feel that in the video too. You can feel both sides, and so I think that's a strength of Ohio.
Yeah, I've got to tell you that the fact that you all and JP has allowed this video to be created and reflect the importance of this sector, it just means, it means a lot to me. And maybe that goes without saying, but it means a lot to a lot of people. A lot of employed people in this state. The sector is so broad and so diverse in job opportunities, but it all comes back to the farm. And I'm a 4th generation dairy farmer. We're not farming anymore, but there's so many that still are. And we just, I love that we as an organization value this sector, because we all need to eat, and it really makes an economic impact on this state.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, JP.
We talked about this extensively on the team, because so much that goes into a successful project, and in particular, with the Intel projects and some of these mega deals, a key component, you know, there's talent is a very key component. We do well as a state. Business climate, we continue to improve from being 40 out of 50 to now being in the top 10, number 7 for 2 years in a row. That land has value. And Ohioans, generational Ohioans, have been creating the value from that land for generations, and they continue to do that. And so when we bring a new company and are able to leverage that land for another valuable purpose, it doesn't mean that there wasn't value being created there in the first place. And getting back to the uniqueness of the JobsOhio platform, you know, is that we bring people in that have relevant, direct, and extensive sector experience. And our lead for the agriculture sector, Tim, he's a perfect example of that private experience. And I don't know if you're willing to share a little bit about your personal story and what's brought you here to JobsOhio. Briefly, of course, but I think you're a good example of the type of teammate.
Sure. Now, you're asking an old politician here to be short, so you may regret that. In a nutshell, dairy farmer, 4th generation dairy farmer in Butler County. Until I was 28, my wife and I started a couple businesses along the way. Served in the state legislature for 8 years, where agriculture was very important to me, and a few others who have an ag background. So I argue on behalf of the ag from the farm community for quite some time before going over to, during the Kasich administration, to the Department of Agriculture as assistant director, and ended Kasich's term as director of the state. Department of Agriculture. And then DeWine came in, and I was fortunate enough, and I was grateful that he allowed me to stay as assistant director before retiring and come over to JobsOhio. But it's almost full circle. A complete full circle for me would be milking cows again, which I'm not going to be doing. But I appreciate those who do. And it's nice to be in a position to help those that do. You know, maybe not so much on the farm, but from a dairy processing facility, but not just dairy. You know, the whole food chain, we're pretty integrated, and we all know how we impact that food chain in the ag and food space. So it's just really nice, I think, from our perspective, now with the JobsOhio hat on, like we all have, that we are all in a position to not only recognize and value this sector, but to help it grow and incentivize it, and you all are doing that. I just can't thank you enough for showing interest. I know you have it. You don't need me to tell you, but I see it firsthand. And when I was in the legislature, that's when JobsOhio was created. And I was fortunate enough to be able to vote on behalf of creating this organization. And, you know, at the time, I'm not sure I even knew what it was. I knew someone I highly respected, Bill Batchelder, said, Tim, it was a good thing to do. and no one questioned that.
Yeah.
Now I see the value.
Tim, any highlights you could share on the sector last year in terms of results?
Yeah, boy, it was a big year. It was a big year for the sector. I think COVID had a lot to do with that. My predecessor, Joe Needham, had a lot to do with that. So stars kind of lined up. You know, there were some areas of this sector that really got hit pretty hard, restaurants, for example. But food processors, they couldn't keep up, you know, with production. And we're seeing an increase in healthy food options. So that's new lines of production for these manufacturers. We're seeing major, you know this already, major investments in pet food. Folks really value nutritious food for their pets as well. So Ohio has grown in that area also. And I could probably go on and on. Bob, if you want, I could take this whole meeting if you wanted me to. But
we appreciate that, but we'll have to defer.
No.
I would like to just make an observation. As I was watching the video, I grew up on a farm that was corn.
Yeah.
And that's not the farm I grew up on. It's very different. And I was so excited to see, given all the changes with climate, the vertical farming and the difference that whole aspect makes, I think, for farmers. It's really great, and I'm excited to be part of that as Jobs Ohio.
If I can address that, because that's a whole nother area that, like I said, I could take this whole meeting. Controlled environment agricultural facilities, CEAs. There's a lot of interest. There's a lot of investment. There's a lot of growth around the country. But Ohio, we have our fair share, and our pipeline has some of those as well. But major investments. And what's exciting as a raw Ohio guy is we're not threatening any Ohio farmer by these investments. We are threatening California, Arizona, that climate, but bring them on. Now what we need to do, what we hope that they can do is turn a profit. It's a little challenging for them, but they're figuring that out. And we're seeing new investments. We've got a couple dozen now facilities here in the state. And like I said, there's a few in the pipeline also.
Well, Tim, we're fortunate to have your expertise. It's very diverse, but very appropriate for what you're doing.
Thanks, Bob. Love being here.
Thank you. Any further questions, Mr. Chairman, or from the board? Thank you very much, Tim. The next section and the next video is in an area and an issue that, Mr. Chairman, you highlighted. It's been highlighted around the state since I joined Jobs Ohio in 2019. In particular, as the state has achieved significant success in job creation in a COVID-calibrated economy, talent is now taking center stage and is of increasing priority. And it is also a high priority at Jobs Ohio. Our initiative is led by Christy Klaus. But the DeWine and Husted administration has made this a top priority to make sure that all Ohioans have the skills, education, training they need to have a wonderful quality of life through the dignity of work. There are a lot of moving pieces associated with the talent and workforce challenges and opportunities that Ohio faces, but we would like to begin to describe Jobs Ohio's role in that ecosystem with a video, and then we would be very happy to answer questions after the video. So please roll the talent video, team.
Over the last decade, Jobs Ohio has been working hard to bring businesses to the state of Ohio, and by all measures, we've succeeded. Since our founding in 2011, we've executed more than 3,300 economic development project deals that attracted more than 500 new companies and retained or expanded more than 2,200 existing Ohio businesses and bumped Ohio up to one of the top 10 states to do business in. As we continue our work to help keep businesses thriving, we're addressing one of their biggest challenges: talent. In the U.S. today, trends like Great Resignation, the Great Reshuffling, and the rise of the remote workforce are contributing to a shortage of workers. While the talent gap existed prior to the pandemic, the need has since grown. Companies struggle to find qualified candidates with skill sets in technology, Industry 4.0, and life sciences. Ohio is no exception. It's projected that Ohio's companies will need over 450,000 workers in those fields over the next 10 years. Working together with the state, Jobs Ohio is making significant investments to successfully position our state to meet the workforce needs of employers today and into the future. Our talent and workforce strategy is designed to ready Ohio businesses for growth through proactive talent attraction, growing and retaining talent, and upskilling and reskilling initiatives. Jobs Ohio's Talent Acquisition Services Incentive was our first talent initiative and is a great example of our strategy in action.
When I joined the company, we were 25. We've scaled to over 400 now, and that's in, about an 18-month period. So, pretty significant growth on the talent side. And JobsOhio was an invaluable part of that process. It's hard to imagine being able to scale that quickly without having a lot of support. I would say there was probably a good, 6 months to 1 year of time that they helped us shortcut. And at a startup scale-up phase, it's every minute is absolutely essential.
The JobsOhio Talent Acquisition Services Incentive is a unique offering designed to support companies investing in Ohio with their talent needs. Through the initiative, we're able to assist companies in identifying their biggest recruitment and retention challenges, and then work alongside them to build and execute sustainable solutions to help them reach their talent goals. From marketing and attraction support to screening and training solutions, the Talent Acquisition Services Incentive provides a customized approach for every stage of the candidate journey based on each company's needs.
We were able to get some training, our company was, our recruiters and our HR business partners, in unconscious bias. One of the individuals that helped train us, he really talked to us about how we all carry some unconscious bias in us, and to recognize it in our job postings. And so that was some great training that JobsOhio provided to us, and we were able to update some of our job postings and really cast a wide net.
When JobsOhio created that landing page, that video of what we do and who we are and why we're here in Ohio and the great things we have as far as growth potential has really helped us with just attracting the right talent.
We've helped hundreds of companies successfully navigate the talent ecosystem. Our Talent Acquisition Services Incentive is just one way we're building an unmatched workforce in Ohio. Our National Talent Attraction Initiative, Find Your Ohio, proactively drives in-demand talent to the state by connecting out-of-state candidates with Ohio job opportunities. We're also making workforce investments and collaborating with workforce partners, schools, and technical centers to upskill and reskill individuals, as well as growing and retaining talent to meet the demands of employers now and into the future.
The JobsOhio program has offered for us scalability with huge impact without having to unduly burden the project with additional overhead. So from an economic perspective, it's absolutely been a win all the way through.
Working with ATW to figure out what they needed once we got hooked up through JobsOhio, it was perfect because we were able to go in and see exactly what they needed. So there's no guesswork there. We're not guessing on what skills are needed.
This focus on talent growth and retention is further amplified through our innovation districts. Located in Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus, these 3 districts create sustainable ecosystems of ideas, infrastructure, and talent while positioning Ohio as a global leader in healthcare, technology, and life science R&D. With a JobsOhio investment of $300 million, the innovation districts will create 60,000 new jobs, more than 47,000 STEM degrees, and will have an estimated $9 billion in annual economic impact for the state over the next 10 years. In typical JobsOhio fashion, we will continue to keep a pulse on Ohio's workforce and talent ecosystem, so that we're able to evolve and expand our initiatives and investments in the coming years. JobsOhio's talent efforts are creating the environment businesses need to succeed. Our efforts are creating a way for Ohioans to increase their economic mobility and standard of living. They're reaching underrepresented and underserved populations to create a more diverse and inclusive workforce. They're driving us towards our goal of winning more economic development projects than any other state. And they're leading Ohio and everyone who lives here towards a bright future with limitless potential.
The board, any questions? Talent's a big topic and subject. I'd like to invite Christy Klaus to please join us to answer any questions.
Welcome, Christy. Lori, I know you and I talked before the meeting today about the questions you're getting as you attend conferences in the construction industry. Any questions you want to target?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I get approached by business owners and industry associations, like the chairman said. And their number one question right now, and their number one concern is, we had a workforce shortage before all these wonderful announcements in the state, with Intel and the other opportunities that are currently here. And not just a shortage, but even a skill, skills needing to be upgraded, upskilled and reskilled. And so, now that's making a lot of folks anxious. And so there are a lot of folks in the state that have been and are currently doing a lot for workforce development. Everyone from JobsOhio to the state to the universities, public and private, and business owners on their own. And I know there's been a lot of effort to connect all those dots. Maybe you can just kind of expand upon, where we're at right now and what those goals are to try to help with this significant gap that we have.
So I think, and thank you, Chairman and Board, I think the main component for us right now, in particular from a JobsOhio perspective, but also the state's perspective and the company's perspective, it's got to be an all-in kind of strategy, right? We need to attract more from outside Ohio, and that's going to require companies rethinking about how they look at relocation, how communities think about how they embrace individuals when they come into their community. Do they have the quality of life that they are looking for from that perspective? So there's the attraction piece. There's also then the reskilling and upskilling portion of it. Where do we need to make monumental movements, and where are there similarities? So just the EV battery facilities, right, going into Ohio, and thinking about where those cross intersect even Intel's requirements for technicians, and those kinds of things. We need to really be thinking about where there is a lot of overlap and where we can make key investments across the state from a reskilling and an upskilling perspective. And then an emerging pipeline, right? We have a K through 12 system that we need to continue to hone in on STEM, moving math and these kinds of things forward from the K through 12 system, but also in the colleges, universities, and technical centers in the universities. We need to bring more students here, keep them in STEM, and keep them here longer, right? So retention of those students, but also increasing the funnel of the students in STEM. And so that's an all-in strategy that has to be rallied around from every component of the system, from the local Ohio Means Jobs offices to the local individuals working on workforce to the companies to the state.
General Lyles, I see you are on the Zoom call with us, and I see you have a question.
Yes, actually, it's a compliment more than anything else, Mr. Chairman and JP. Christy, really kudos to you and your team for all that you're doing for JobsOhio and for the state of Ohio. I'm involved in a congressionally mandated study looking at the technology needs, resource needs, talent needs for the future, for national security and for our economy. And the emphasis is primarily on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And as an engineer, I applaud that and really believe in that. But what's really become more interesting is the focus on what we call the skilled technical workforce, STW. And when I look at what you're doing through your talent acquisition program, you really are ahead of the game and probably ahead of most states in addressing the training, certification, upskilling, and reskilling of the workforce to address those talent needs that don't require a college degree, that don't necessarily require a STEM degree. So kudos to what you're doing, and I look forward as I participate in this congressionally mandated national study to make sure that Ohio and JobsOhio is featured for all the great successes that you currently have.
Thank you, Les.
Thanks,
Rick.
Mr. Chairman,
Rick Platt.
We've been reshoring manufacturing. We're reshoring opportunities with that. And it seems to me that opportunity is the magnet for reshoring talent. Christy, what can we be doing, not just as JobsOhio, but evolve us as Ohioans to cause the homesick Ohioans that we exported before to come back to our shores here in Ohio?
Well, I think community and company are kind of two key points of that. Rick and the board and others, I think those are the two that have to kind of collaborate together. So the company needs to think about how are they looking at those that acquisition of talent. Are they leveraging alumni associations that are close to them from a university perspective? How are they doing that kind of homegrown outreach as well? And then what does it look like when they do come back, right, from a relocation package? And that's not always just money. right? That's trailing spouses and families and time in order to move, those kinds of things. And are they even working together from a company perspective? I think collaboration among companies in a community is important so that the individuals also know the opportunities that are open as they shift careers, as they create a family environment and a trailing spouse coming. It's not just that company, they're coming with a family. What are the other opportunities? And is it a community that welcomes them from quality of life and those kinds of things? But it's also, do they wrap their arms around them? Is there a welcome committee? Do we place those individuals within employee resource groups to make sure that they're taken care of from their own personal side of the house? And I think that continues to be an evolution in the way we have to think about our current workforce. And if we're going to attract people who are younger than myself, we're going to have to think differently.
Christy, I want to circle back to comments Lori made. The construction industry per se is not one of our sectors that we focus. They are major beneficiaries of our sector growth, and as we're seeing. But I think at a subsequent board meeting, we ought to have a deeper dive into what's happening in the construction industry in terms of the number of jobs and the likely future jobs that we know are there just because of these major mega projects we've already announced. I think that would be helpful.
I think so too. And I would just like to, and General Lyles, thank you for everything that you're doing, and keep coming with information and insights on what everyone else is doing so we can continue to be better. The thing for us in particular, I know, Lori, you talked about the number of partners and resources in Ohio and across the country that are helping on workforce initiatives. I think where we come in and we can really tailor an approach is one of the individuals that was even on the video, ATW, American Trailer, down in the Cincinnati market. They needed welders, and we all know there are no welders, right? And unless we're going to steal one from one company and move it to ATW, which really doesn't help move the needle for Ohio, we're matching up some tech cred funding from the state of Ohio and making sure that that's getting covered and that's being leveraged with certain partners for ATW. And then we came in with Claremont County Technical Center, Claremont Brown Technical Center, and we came in and are really trying to help make sure that that welding program has aptitude tests for individuals. We're outreaching, aptitude test, we're getting welders in, and I think ultimately we're going to have 60 welders for ATW in a very specialized way to weld that did not exist prior to us embarking down that journey with them and tying those partners together. And I think that just takes a lot of will and grit and time, but that's really what it takes in order to connect those dots, to your point earlier, Lori. So welcome any other feedback and input the board has for us.
That is the perfect example. Thank you. That really clarifies how all the dots are connected and how we're all stakeholders and how we all need to work together on this opportunity. Thank you.
Lori.
Any final questions for Christy?
Thank you, Christy.
Just a comment, Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman. Again, Lori, and Christy, you really hit it right on the button relative to the major needs. As I look back on my experiences in the Air Force as an example, the number one skilled technical workforce that was needed in literally every field, but particularly the space area, was a lack of welders. Certified welders who know how to do welding with today's technologies, today's metal components and equipment, if you will, is the number one thing that was missing in trying to make sure that we're successful in our program. So again, you're hitting the right kind of things, Christy. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, General.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks, board.
So the great, thank you, Christy. The great thing about this initiative, and I think what we tried to describe in a very brief video, is that this is driven by partners. JobsOhio doesn't lead. We lead in some areas. In some areas we support, some areas that we partner. So the important thing is that we are communicating and collaborating, which is what Ohio and Ohioans do so well. And many of our partners are here today. So it's a significant problem, but just as the pendulum is swinging back with job creation and sector leadership, we believe we'll take a leadership position in the retention, development, and attraction of talent. So thank you very much. And finally, again, the fuel that powers and provides the resources for us to compete in the fierce global competition for new jobs and capital investment. And it is fierce, not just regionally, but now in the phenomenon of reshoring. We are competing with other nations and other continents. And we have a unique model A part of that model includes a source of funding driven by a unique public-private partnership that we call the Beverage system, and it's a wonderful collaboration. Ohio is one of the few states that control the distribution of spirituous liquor in our state. Under the leadership of Lorraine Terry, we do it. We're amongst the best, if not the best, of the states that have done this via public-private partnership. And you'll see in the next video some of the recognition that Lorraine has earned working with her team. And we have some of her partners and some of the Beverage System partners here with us today. But again, I'd invite Lorraine to come and join us, and I'd ask the team to roll the JobsOhio Beverage System video. Thank you.
JobsOhio's model gives our state a serious competitive advantage, and it's the only one like it in the nation. It's built with a unique combination of attributes: a private structure that has statewide reach, experienced economic development professionals, and an independent source of funding. That independent source of funding? It's not taxes. In fact, it's profit from the sale of high-proof spirituous liquor, and it's generated by Ohio Liquor. Ohio Liquor is a unique public-private partnership between the Ohio Department of Commerce's Division of Liquor and the JobsOhio Beverage System, which we often refer to as the Beverage System. We use a retail mindset and smart business practices to maximize profit and efficiency of the Ohio Liquor enterprise. Here's how it works. Ohio Liquor uses consumer-driven data like sales trends, category demand, and success in other markets to choose high-proof spirituous liquor products. We track and evaluate product sales and performance daily so we can consistently optimize our portfolio for Ohioans. We offer more than 3,800 products from over 400 suppliers, which gives us a lot of buying power. All product shipments are sent to 2 Beverage System distribution centers managed by our partners at DHL, who consistently hit and exceed key metrics like 99.9% order fill rate, beating industry averages of 85%, and our 99.5% on-time delivery to Ohio Liquor locations, which means that the products our stores need are delivered efficiently so they get to the shelf faster. These key metrics were crucial to the decision for the Beverage System to hire DHL as the third-party logistics provider for the Ohio Liquor enterprise in 2017. With a focus on these metrics, distribution center operation expenses, measured by cost per case, has resulted in a 28% decrease since 2017. That's more than $6 million in reduced operational costs. Speed to shelf has increased tremendously from prior to the Beverage System's decision to hire DHL, and supplier trust in Ohio's distribution has grown, as evidenced by an almost 80% increase in number of products available for sale to Ohioans since 2017. By providing products that are in demand, fairly priced, and professionally distributed, Ohio Liquor supports our 488 independently owned stores and Ohio's restaurants and bars. Building a strong brand and marketing strategy is another way the Beverage System has accelerated Ohio Liquor's responsible growth. Liquor stores that have adopted our in-store brand appearance have seen sales increases of 6 to 12%. Enhancements to our digital presence raise awareness of our brand. Last year, Ohio Liquor launched its rebuilt website and has welcomed more than 1.9 million new users to ohlq.com. This is a 90% increase from the previous year. Our refreshed email efforts, which have over 42,000 active subscribers, builds excitement and provides education about products and responsible consumption in Ohio. Ohio Liquor was recognized as a Best of the Best control state in 2019 by Stateways Magazine and received the award for Best Off-Premise Partnership in 2020 by Stateways Magazine. All our efforts, from selection and distribution to brand and marketing, lead to strong sales. We've seen an average revenue growth of 8.5% a year since 2017. And advocating for responsible consumption is at the heart of everything we do. It's an ethical responsibility we take very seriously, so we connect consumers to resources and information that motivate responsible behaviors in all our marketing channels, including at the store, on social media, and on our website. Every day, the team at Ohio Liquor continues to refine and improve what we do to maximize profit, to show how partnerships are the key to the success of the liquor enterprise, and to drive economic prosperity for Ohio, now and into the future. And to that, we say, cheers to Ohio.
Thank you very much for that. Lorraine and Mr. Chairman, members of the board, best in class in the country, cutting costs, increasing offerings for Ohioans to enjoy, encouraging responsible consumption, delivering over $380 million in profit sharing back to the state treasury, and over $300 million last year to invest in Ohio's economic development. With that, are there any questions from our board?
I'll start. Lorraine, there's a lot of misperceptions around Jobs Ohio as being a public entity, taxpayer dollars. Any of those, and those questions all get channeled to you, but if you would just kind of address some of those misperceptions around our beverage system.
Yeah, absolutely. There are misperceptions from everything from why can't I get Blanton's in the state of Ohio
That's still a valid question.
It's always a question, right? And I'm always happy to answer. We work very closely with our supplier partners, again, over 400 suppliers that bring product to the state of Ohio. The misperception about taxes is it's a tough question. I understand that. I get that. But at the end of the day, my team is delivering exactly what you saw in this video to bring the fuel to Jobs Ohio. And the one of the few times I'll say I like being last is I love following the videos that show all the great work being done by Jobs Ohio and with your support, because that means our business is doing what it was built to do. We are building and bringing the fuel to Jobs Ohio. So usually my response is simply that. The proof is in the pudding. We've been doing great work with the dollars that we are generating.
Well said. John Bishop.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that I took great solace from as a board member is the efforts of being put forth in advocating responsible consumption.
Absolutely.
This is we have a special situation. I call it the secret sauce. Jobs Ohio is really the liquor industry, but how we manage that and don't overcapitalize. And I commend Lorraine because that's an area that she has a passion for, and I'm not sure there's many other states that really do. I think the industry does, but I think it's just commended for the efforts that we're putting forth there, and I think it deserves the attention that it should. And there's educational opportunities, and I'm sure there's other parts of our organization that can assist with that. But again, my compliments on your efforts in that area.
Just to reference, there's a separate board for the beverage system. One of those board members is former Attorney General Betty Montgomery, and she has been an outspoken, constructive provider of input around that initiative and been very helpful.
Yeah, we've taken that charge very seriously. With great joy comes great harm. We take that, we own that harm. We've actually at the local level assisted with funding and supporting social responsibility efforts of local Board of Health committees and groups to bring to them an expertise that my team can offer. They've always said we don't need any resources, but if you have education, you can help us learn to use social responsibility in our social marketing. Please help us do that, and we were happy to do so.
Well, I hope the general public, people listening to this broadcast, understand that opportunity is there.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Bishop, I think you brought up a very important piece of the beverage system, is that there is a passion for it, and having the team on the beverage system is tied directly to the culture of Jobs Ohio. And so when they're doing their work, and they do it better than anyone else in the country, that they know that they're doing it not only to produce these results in the top line and the net profit, but because it's going back into investment for their fellow Ohioans. And that common joy for the mission and passion for the mission really is one of the parts of the sauce.
Right.
Other questions or comments?
Just a
Go
comment.
ahead, Joyce.
To Lorraine and to the board, to your team, you really do give us an opportunity to have that competitive edge. Without you, we couldn't do what we do, and as a board, we really do recognize that, and we're very grateful. So we appreciate what you're doing, and keep doing it. It gives us an opportunity to be even better in the state of Ohio.
Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? That concludes the President's report, Mr. Chairman. Are there any other questions from the board?
Other questions for the President? Let's move to our committee reports. I'll begin as chair of the Executive Committee. We met twice this quarter, approving the minutes of its previous meetings and concluding with an executive session at each meeting. At its meeting on May 20th, the committee discussed various governance items for the corporation and for its affiliate, the JobsOhio Beverage System. The committee also reviewed the board-approved 5-year strategic plan and the specific strategies for this, the third year of that 5-year plan. The committee also began discussions of conducting a board offsite planning meeting for later this fall, and that discussion was continued during yesterday's committee meeting. At its meeting yesterday, the committee recommended to the board, and the board later approved 2 governance actions for approval of the full board, acting on behalf of JobsOhio as the sole member of the JobsOhio Beverage System. The board first approved an amendment to the Code of Regulations of the Beverage System to establish staggered terms for the 5 directors of that entity's board and to be implemented immediately. Next, the board approved the re-election of the 5 current directors of the Beverage System Board to staggered 3-year terms. Also, during yesterday's meeting, the committee recommended to the board, and the board later approved the 2022 strategic plan for JobsOhio. This concludes my report. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, let's move to the Audit Committee. Chairman Jerry Sue Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The JobsOhio Board Audit Committee met Thursday, June 2nd. The minutes of the March 14th, 2022 meeting were read and approved as presented. The quarterly compliance report was presented by Ms. Claudia Harrington, Senior Director of Compliance. It included board and employee financial disclosures, as well as the Joint Legislative Ethics Committee, as well as internal organizational training in IT security, project performance, team training, and the ethics point hotline, and that training is ongoing. Following the training update, she discussed clawbacks and litigation and payments returned to JobsOhio in March. Following Ms. Harrington's report, Scott Wilson, who is a consultant with V2 Technology that provides services to JobsOhio, provided a detailed update on the cybersecurity at JobsOhio. He reported on the remediation of 11 project areas, including cybersecurity resource allocation and periodic updates of inventory of mission-critical systems. He completed his report with the FY 2023 Cybersecurity Risk Management Roadmap and Dashboard. Members of the JobsOhio accounting team then provided detailed financial information consisting of statements of net position, statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in our net position for the third quarter and year-to-date, as well as detailed budget to actual reviews of expenditures and revenues for that same period were provided to the committee. The final discussion item was the proposed FY23 budget for JobsOhio, the operating budget, which begins July 1st, 2022. There was a lengthy review and discussion of the recommendations made by management, and upon completion, the committee voted to approve the FY23 budget and to forward it to the full board, at which point the full board did approve that budget. The audit committee then held an executive session to discuss other matters. And with that, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Are there questions for Dr. Thornton? Hearing none, let's move to the Compensation and Workforce Committee. General Lyles.
Mr. Chairman, the Compensation and Workforce Committee met on May 20th, 2022, and again yesterday morning. Each meeting began with approval of the minutes of previous meetings, as well as a discussion of the committee's work plan for meetings during the remainder of this calendar year. Also, during each meeting, we started a new best practice. The committee received a commentary from its independent compensation consultant, Mr. Don Koskowski of Pay Governance. He provided us current topics and national perspectives related to corporate compensation and benefit trends to give us a perspective on things that might impact Jobs Ohio. During the May meeting, the committee conducted the annual review of the committee charter, which was last updated in December of 2020. No new updates to the charter were recommended at this particular time. Yesterday, the committee reviewed the most recent job description for the president and CEO of Jobs Ohio, and various changes and additions were recommended. This process will continue for the next few committee meetings to make sure that the job description reflects all the things that the CEO is doing for Jobs Ohio and for the state of Ohio. Finally, an executive session was held at the end of each meeting to discuss various compensation matters, and we did an evaluation of the CEO, which was laudatory from every perspective, from every board member. With that summary, Mr. Chairman, I conclude my report of the Compensation and Workforce Committee.
Thank you, General Lyles. Are there questions for the General? Let's move now to the Investment Committee. Chairman John Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As usual, the committee met twice during the preceding quarter. We met on May 10th, 2022, and again yesterday. Minutes of the previous meetings were reviewed and approved at the beginning of each meeting. And during the fourth quarter, the record demand for our goods and services and support has continued. In the fourth quarter of the fiscal year, the committee reviewed and approved or recommended to the full board a total of $253.2 million in incentives in 9 core economic development projects. The companies involved in just those projects would commit to create 3,063 total new jobs with an associated payroll associated with those jobs of $172.4 million. Very importantly, in addition to those statistics, the projects will make and are committed to capital investments of nearly $5.9 billion in Ohio. During our meeting on May 10th, the committee began some very important discussion concerning a possible future strategic cash management approach, including components of a spending policy set by the board, along with a cash reserve policy set by management with input from the corporation's investment portfolio manager. It's a very important discussion or series of discussions for the future of Jobs Ohio and how we manage our resources. And that discussion was informed and detailed in a detailed presentation by a person that's done a great deal of work in this area, the corporation's CFO, Brian Faust. At yesterday's meeting, the committee recommended to the board, and the board later approved, nine major contracts for services to support the talent and marketing efforts that we saw some of today of the corporation during the upcoming fiscal year 2023. Also yesterday, the committee recommended and the board later approved both the third year of funding of a potential 5 years for the Jobs Ohio Growth Capital Program, as well as the authority for management to enter into a letter of credit with Huntington National Bank in order to meet certain economic development project requirements. As part of our cash management, there are times it may be to our advantage to act on a letter of credit rather than at an inopportune time sell a security and so forth. Finally, during yesterday's meeting, the committee received the quarterly report from the corporation's investment portfolio advisors from Cardinal Investments, who are our outside advisor who do only advising of us and our investment strategy, as well as the quarterly report of the results of the Growth Capital Fund, which was mentioned for the previous quarter. With that, Mr. Chairman, we had a busy quarter, and I would conclude my report in the Investment Committee.
Thanks, John. Are there questions for John Bishop? All right, let's move now to the final part of it's actually not on the agenda this way, but we do conclude our meetings with board comments, so we just give every board member a chance to engage. So let's start with the board member to my left, Dr. Jerry Sue Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. with the reviewing of the videotapes, it really reminds me again what our president said, and that is what Jobs Ohio is all about in its partnerships and collaborations. And I think the videotapes really showed that, and as a board member, it's good to see that reinforced in different arenas, not only in manufacturing and agriculture, in jobs and creating new jobs and new opportunities for talent. So there were so many areas covered in those videotapes, Mr. President, that really give us a sense of the breadth of what we do in Jobs Ohio. I would also, Mr. Chair, like to say that as we have completed the President's evaluation, it really makes me think about the leadership, that, JP, that you are providing at Jobs Ohio and how much we appreciate that. Not only your leadership, but the fact that you are leading a very talented team of people who produce. And I guess I was thinking about it during this meeting. It is a high-performing team. Everyone works really hard, and it makes it happen. And so we thank you for your leadership as a board member, but also your team who's producing every day. And it's good to be a board member when you know behind you is a high-performing team.
Thank you, Jerry Sue. Let's move to Director Tom Williams, who's joined us virtually. Tom?
Here I am.
Yep. Go ahead, Tom.
I think I lost you.
We can hear you, Tom.
Can you hear us, Tom?
No, I can't.
All right, let's move to Rick
Sorry.
Platt. We'll come back to you,
Let
Tom.
me work on it. Oh, okay, sorry about that.
Rick Platt, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just take a short putt this morning. Shout out to Ryan Augsburger, Ohio Manufacturers Association, one of our guests this morning. Ohio just keeps winning in manufacturing. Certainly, Jobs Ohio is a big part of that, and it's an all Ohio sensation. That's been proven with the videos and with our discussions today. So our encouragement, I guess, to our manufacturers already in Ohio, as well as those that are going to be Ryan's future members, let's keep manufacturing opportunities for Ohio.
Thank you, Rick. Let's move to John Bishop.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. It's when I think of the announcements that we have made in just the recent past, it just amazes me how a great deal of effort by the leadership of Ohio is coming together. I mean, just within the last 30 days, you've had the CEO of Intel, major corporations singing the praises of Ohio over in Newark, in your hometown. Yesterday, you had a president of a major division of Ford saying the same thing. And those are just examples. As JP has reported in prior meetings, our funnel of opportunities is immense. And the recognition that Ohio is getting around the country, I think even the president has made some comment most recently about the importance of Intel to the country, and we just have a unique opportunity that we're seizing, I think, very well. And it's not the board; it's the people that are on the job every day that are doing it, and it is really a compliment too. And I think politicians are easy targets, but Jobs Ohio was created through the vision of a former governor, frankly, and our current governor would admit that, and John Kasich. But then Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Husted have just since day one said this is an opportunity we're going to seize. And every opportunity you see, the governor and his team are right there, and that says a lot. I heard the governor comment that they had the CEO of Intel at the governor's mansion for dinner, talking about the importance of selecting Ohio, and they were looking at 38 different states or opportunities, according to them, and we were successful. And it's those kind of efforts that I'm personally, as the longest tenured board member, really excited about the future of Jobs Ohio.
Thank you, John. Scott Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to echo what my fellow board members said for sure, and it's certainly a high-performing team. We've watched it now for a couple of years where JP and the teams have been talking about this generational opportunity, and if you look at the mega projects and everything that's going on, it's all coming true. And that poses a whole new set of problems of which is completely under control and doing well because of the team that JP and his staff have assembled. Really proud to be a part of it, and I think the different folks that talk today be able to talk about a new industry sector, not new, but got exposure to the ag side of it was great on the videos. The fuel of Jobs Ohio was phenomenal, and of course talent. Welcome, Lieutenant Governor. An important topic for you for sure, but we got a great overview on the talent and the workforce issues. As all these companies come from the coasts, and we want to make Ohio special, we want the talent to come as well. And how are we doing that, and how it all comes together to capitalize on what is an incredible run just the last couple of years, thanks to JP and his team that are doing a phenomenal job. So thanks for doing it. Thanks for doing it at Memorial. It's nice that the board meetings go to different parts of the state, and everyone gets exposure to the different aspects of the great state that we live in.
Yeah, our view, it's.
Thank you. Well, since you brought it up, you know, Victoria has done a wonderful job with the venue here and her team, so please.
Yeah, we have 3 more board members to comment, but I would defer now and ask the Lieutenant Governor to come and join us at the table here. Lieutenant Governor Husted has just provided great leadership on all things related to economic development. He is a thought leader. He demands accountability, and we welcome that. And he's been a great partner with Jobs Ohio. Lieutenant Governor John Husted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. JP, to the board members, thanks for the invitation. I just left the governor. He sends his regards. He and Fran are celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary today. And they're going to spend most of the day with me. I'm sure that's how they thought about their 55th wedding anniversary. So I want to thank the team, the Jobs Ohio team. We had an amazing day yesterday in Lorain County. And for those of you who are not familiar with sort of the backstory of Lorain County and Ford, who announced it was going to invest $1.5 billion, 1,800 jobs in building a new commercial EV. You know, many years ago, Ford left a major plant in Lorain County. And there was a lot of anxiety in the community about the future of that site there in Lorain County in Avon Lake, and whether a new product would be assigned there. And for several years, I mean, since the beginning of our administration, I know we've been hearing from the local UAW and the community about would something happen. And Ford had reassured us that they did have a plan, that they would work with us, and they kept in touch with me and the Jobs Ohio team, and we kept working with them. Because they would make announcements in other places. They'd make announcements in other countries, and there was an anxiety level there. And I wish you could have been in the spot that JP and the governor and I were yesterday, looking out at thousands of faces from the workforce who were just thrilled at the announcement that this would be a generational investment of Ford on a product that they know there'll be a demand for, because you could see just the sense of pride in that community, the sense of hope in the faces of the people that are going to be part of that workforce, because for them that meant security. For them that meant opportunity. For them that meant generations, that their children and others could work there, and that there was a bright future for them. And it was a really exciting day. We talk a lot about the numbers, the big numbers of investment, the big numbers of jobs, but every one of those 1,800 jobs is a person. It's a family. It's, you know, it's their future. And to see that was really special. And so that's why what we do, the collective we, matters. Because it's just hope, and that feeling that we had yesterday. So there was nothing that was going to make the day bad after that, seeing all those wonderful faces and that opportunity. And the good news is that's happening all around our state. It's happening not just in Cleveland yesterday, Lorain County, and Central Ohio with Intel, but it's happening everywhere. Big projects, small projects, and the enthusiasm about Ohio. I mean, yesterday, I was watching national news, and there were 3 Ohio stories yesterday. The memorial, what happened with Ford, a couple other things that were going on, and you can just sense how Ohio truly has emerged as the go-to state in the Midwest on many fronts, in many people that we talk to, and that is in part due to the great work of this organization. None of us are completely responsible for the Ohio story. It's a team effort. But Jobs Ohio and what you do is a huge, huge part of this team's success. And so I just want to share that. I will say that as Scott had mentioned, workforce continues to be a central focus of this administration in the talent portion. I get great feedback about the talent services that Jobs Ohio provides to companies that are looking at our state. But this will continue to be the place where we can differentiate ourselves from both a human and strategic point of view by making sure that everybody lives up to their God-given potential, that we find ways to create the top talent, the PhD biochemists, to making sure we're doing second chance employment from people who are recovering from addiction or leaving incarceration and rejoining society in a very positive, hopeful way. And all of those things are on our list. And I can't talk about this without reminding all of us of the big challenge that America faces and Ohio faces. It's a demographic challenge. I'm going to go a little geeky on you for a moment, because numbers matter. In 1960, the birth rate for every female in the nation was 3.75 children for every one woman. Now it's 1.77, and it has been that way. Wow. And the replacement rate is 2.01. So as the baby boom, that big generation behind, is just not as big generationally. For that young lady said, you're going to have lots of job opportunities because there aren't enough of you in your generation. And I say that because we can do 10% better at talent development and still fall behind as a nation and as a state. So that's why we have to really focus on every opportunity that we can to help make people more productive. And that's going to include technology. That's going to use the integration of robotics and automation, AI, and how we can help every human being be more productive in the marketplace. But when we do that successfully, it lifts the prosperity of everyone. When somebody can be more productive, you make them more valuable and you can pay them more. And that's what we have the opportunity to do. It's really exciting. I just don't know that there's a more exciting time in our state's history to do the work, the collective work that the people in this room are doing. And it's amazing what's happening, and it's really exciting. So thanks for giving me a chance to share a few thoughts, and thank all of you for the work that you do.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and thanks for your leadership. You and the Governor both have demanded Team Ohio to stay united, and it's proved dividends. I know the question you asked the CEO of Intel as he was heading out of town, like, tell us just why Ohio, and the response was...
Yeah, a lot of things, but I will say this, keeping the answer to that question short, ultimately it was trust. In the end, this is a company who's going to make a $20 billion investment. I mean, think yesterday. Ford's investment was $1.5 billion. Huge investment. They're talking about, I think Intel's is 20, the first phase. It could be $100 billion. and this isn't a cryptocurrency company or a social media company. You actually, they make things. You actually have to live here, and you can't move, you know, football or clean rooms the sizes of football fields, multiple football fields. You have to trust the people that you're working with. And I want you to think about that. They could have gone anywhere, and they trusted us. And so let's live up to it.
Amen.
And let's inspire more people to want to invest in Ohio.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any questions for Lieutenant Governor from the board? Thank you. Let's continue our round the horn here from hearing from our board members. Tom, are you able to connect yet? Oh, I think so.
Yes, I'm here.
Please
I'm
do.
here.
Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry about that. Great to have you, Lieutenant Governor, and congratulations on such wonderful success. I can keep talking about all the things that are happening in Ohio, but I'd like to bring it back to JobsOhio. I've been on the board for almost as long as John Bishop. We're sort of the old guard. This is absolutely the best team we've ever assembled, we've ever had. JP is doing an outstanding job leading an outstanding team. And you hear all the positives at these public meetings, but trust me when I say that the board challenges the team and works them pretty hard. And they really, they respond, they lead. They're just a fantastic organization. And obviously the results are finally bearing that out. And when the opportunity that has come up in the last couple of years has arisen, Ohio met the challenge, and JobsOhio is the spearhead, the point of the spear for all of that happening. So I just can't help but congratulate our great team at JobsOhio.
Thank you, Tom. And you referenced our role in challenging the members of the management team. And just to remind everybody, the board met yesterday for 8 hours. So it was a lot of due diligence, a lot of good discussion around where we go and how we get there and what resources we need to accomplish our mission. Let's move to General Lyles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just echo the comments of all the other board members, and particularly the thanks to Lieutenant Governor John Husted and also to Governor DeWine for their unique leadership. You know, I have a luxury and a perspective of not living in Ohio right now. I used to when I was during my Air Force career, my 36 years of the Air Force. But I'm living in Northern Virginia near my hometown, Washington, D.C., and I get a chance to see JobsOhio and the things that happen in Ohio from a different perspective. It's in comparison to other states, in comparison to other activities going on around the nation. And believe me, JobsOhio is unique. JobsOhio is successful. JobsOhio is one of a kind. And there's so many things that are going on as I look at the things I'm involved in. I chair NASA's advisory council for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. I'm doing similar sort of things for the Department of Defense and for the National Academy of Engineers. And everything those organizations are worried about, talent, diversity, technology, working together, partnerships, are embodied in all the successful things that are taking place in JobsOhio. So my kudos to the great leadership, the whole ecosystem, starting from the governor and lieutenant governor to the great organization of JobsOhio led by JP and his fantastic team, to the board and all the things that they provide in terms of guidance and governance for the activities. My only caution, Mr. Chairman, is that we have to remember not to rest on our laurels. We've been very successful, but you can never rest. The old adage of just because you're on the right track doesn't mean we can stop moving because you're going to get run over. So we just have to keep doing the same things we're doing today and doing them better for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, General Lyles. Lori Gillette.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I'm a pretty competitive person, so when I heard the Lieutenant Governor rattle off some numbers, I was being competitive with myself. I have 2 kids, and I think I heard him say, if I wrote this down right, the average right now is 1.77 kids, and we need to have 2.01. And I can tell you, I can't compete with that. I'm stuck at 2. So, like the 2.01, that's, yeah. But, you know, hearing him talk about that and just knowing, again, you know, as we discussed earlier, the workforce challenges that we have today and all the investments that we're making, in workforce for the future, that's an important number. And as a competitive person, I do want to help us, to compete. So, one of the things that I continue to, think about in my head is just how are we going to continue, because we've been doing it. How do we continue to connect all the dots, connect all the stakeholders, and stay focused on workforce development so that we're maximizing the efforts that everyone is putting in, because there is significant effort going in, not just from JobsOhio, but across the board. I'm grateful for the efforts from the Lieutenant Governor and the Governor and the administration. So how do we stay focused and maximize those efforts and not duplicate efforts? So that's what I look forward to. And then also, I just, the last thing I want to say is just thanks to the JobsOhio team. Very hardworking. The way you guys collaborate, the way you guys bring stakeholders together. Thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for your leadership, JP.
Thank you, Lori. Before I turn to JP for the final comment, I just want to reflect on my journey as involved civically began with being an advocate for small business. A lot of discussion here today about two major projects, Intel and now Ford, and those get headlines. But it's small business that really is the backbone of what we get done here in Ohio. And we're fortunate to have Roger Geiger here, the president of NFIB. And my journey in civic engagement, as I said, small business where it began. And Roger's provided great leadership for a long time, despite his youthful appearance. Roger, thanks for joining us, and thanks for what you're doing. JP, our president.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. I'm going to probably have a little bit longer of a putt than I normally have. But thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. In closing, I'd like to acknowledge the outstanding work that's delivered by an outstanding team at JobsOhio. Not just JobsOhio's team, they're outstanding, but our network partners, our community partners, and of course the team and the leadership from the DeWine and Husted administration. Team Ohio is achieving these results by working together. Because of our common passion for Ohio, for what it stands for. And the pendulum is swinging back as others recognize what it stands for. First, the DeWine Husted administration has provided leadership, as has this board. And the team and its performance has been recently recognized as the top organization in the nation in our category by the American Business Awards. Last year, the organization did not only break all previous records for job creation, payroll created, new projects won, but for a second year in a row, the team earned a world-class rating for customer experience by Independent Net Promoter. So Ohio's reputation is being projected because Ohioans collaborate, they're hospitable, they welcome people here. They welcome business. They welcome families. And these results were also delivered in a more efficient manner per dollar and per person than ever before. For example, for each JobsOhio employee, over $5 million of new payroll tax commitments for the state of Ohio will result from the net new jobs created from those projects. Another best for the organization, and up 67% from the previous best. For the second consecutive year, Ohio won the second most economic development projects in the nation, while we're the seventh most populous state. Just 10 years ago, Ohio was number 41 out of 50 states as a best state for business. 4 years ago, we were 10th out of 50 states. And for the second consecutive year, we're now number 7, according to Chief Executive Magazine, and are heading in the right direction. Ohio is getting increased value from this JobsOhio platform. And JobsOhio is powered through effective collaboration with leadership from the administration, from the governor and lieutenant governor, from our partners, many of you are here today, and most importantly, from the people that live and work in Ohio. In addition to some of the larger projects that you've heard about and that our chairman referenced today, such as Intel in Central Ohio, where we partnered with Kenny McDonald and the wonderful team from One Columbus, and yesterday's announcement of Ford in Northeast Ohio, and the team, Team Neo, and Bill Kaler, represented here today by Christine Nelson. But last quarter, in this past quarter, in Sydney, in the Dayton region, which is led by the Dayton Development Coalition and Jeff Hoagland, we announced SemCorp. 1,200 new jobs, $73 million in new payroll, just shy of a mega project status. But it is the largest initial foreign direct investment in Ohio's history, in Sydney, Ohio, $916 million of capital. In Claremont County, in the Cincinnati region, represented by Kim Lauterbach, who's here today. Total Quality Logistics, a Fortune 500 company, 1,000 new jobs, $18 million in capital investment. In Noble County, Mike Jacoby, led by Mike Jacoby and our friends from Ohio Southeast. JobsOhio made a modest $4.8 million, modest in relative standards to what we're talking about today, in Caldwell East Business Park, completing investments in all 88 counties by JobsOhio. Inclusion grants. Our chairman referenced the NFIB and small businesses, the backbone of the Ohio economy and Ohio workforce. 30 total projects totaling over $1 million in JobsOhio support around the state. And total, since the program was created at the end of 2019, of over 215 projects. But we did, 207 jobs were created in the first 6 months of this year. Again, these are small businesses. Some of them have 1 and 2 and 3 people. In Lima, Ohio, part of Northwest Ohio and the Regional Growth Partnership, we have Dean Monsky, the leader of the RGP, here today. We announced a very catalytic and important $1.2 million Vibrant Communities grant. That program is led by Terry Slaybaugh and Christy Tanner. That's not the last dollar in. That's not the first dollar in. It's the last dollar in to help that community revitalize its downtown and what we like to call Ohio's hallmark towns. So Lima is going to be revitalized. And our current pipeline, again referenced by Mr. Bishop, the chair of our investment committee, is up nearly 1,000% from a typical year. And these are for mega projects. That's just one category. If you look across all the categories, we're up over 100% in every single category. The experiment in economic development that is JobsOhio is proving to be Ohio's competitive advantage, but it's part of an outstanding team that cares about Ohio and what it stands for. The generational opportunity is real, and we'll continue to rack up successes for the people of Ohio working together. Mr. Chairman, our work is never done. We'll always strive to do better. We encourage you to continually push us and challenge us just like we do for ourselves. We're just getting started, and we are very grateful that our partners have joined us today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, JP. Any final questions for our President, JP Nassif? If not, just a reminder, our next board meeting will be on Thursday, September 15th, and the Friday, is that when the public session is? Check your calendars. Anyway, thanks for everybody for your participation today, those who joined us virtually as well. Thank you for the board for your great service, and special thanks to the outstanding talent we have at JobsOhio. We are adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you very much.